All right. So I think, yeah, let's get started. I'll have you come right up to the front edge of your chair. And keep your heels on the ground. Lift your forefoot up on each side, right? So lift them up off the ground. Spread your toes out nice and wide, and then place the whole foot down on the floor. So we're just trying to get as much real estate on the floor as we can, right? So just kind of pressing down a little bit here. And then notice where you're at with your sitting bone. So lean forward a little bit, and you'll see how you come onto the backs of your legs more than on your sitting bones. And then if you lean back a little bit, you're on kind of the back edge of your sitting bones. And then the right side and left side, just kind of noticing that. So just kind of figuring out what that feels like. Okay. And then once you're here, you can sit up nice and tall, close your eyes. So you've got your feet planted on the floor, you've got your sitting bones anchored into the chair, you've got your fingers and hands resting on your lap or on your thighs. And you're just following your breath as it goes in and out. And just the act of noticing your breath actually changes it. When you're not noticing your breath, it's kind of doing its own thing. You're not really paying attention. It's going in, it's going out. But as soon as you just even shift your awareness, you might notice it's a little deeper. You might notice it's a little slower. Maybe it's faster. And then see if you can consciously begin to deepen your breath. As you inhale, let the inhale be nice and long and slow. And same with the exhale. As you exhale, you might imagine that your exhale is going out through like a little valve. So you've got that valve not all the way open. Maybe it's like halfway open. So breathe in and fill your body. And when you get to the top of the inhale, just kind of pause for a moment. And then you can open that little valve like halfway and slowly exhale. And as you're moving in this breath, that long, slow, deep inhale, and then that slow exhale, can you notice where your body is moving? So your rib cage, your shoulders, your belly. So your rib cage is actually moving every time you take a breath. So when we think about staying still, we think about the body becoming still. You're never really still because your rib cage is moving every time you breathe. And perhaps your belly is moving every time you breathe. See if you can let those pauses at the top of your inhalation get a little bit longer. So once you breathe in, once you take in a really full deep breath, pause, hold your breath until you feel like a little bit of urgency to release the breath. And when you feel that little bit of need, that little bit of urgency, you can relax and slowly let the breath out. Next time that you inhale, I'm going to ask you to hold even longer. So breathing in, hold your breath, hold your breath. And when you feel the need to exhale, do that with a sigh through your mouth. And then go back to your natural breath. Just let the air move in and out. You can let your eyes gently open. And then bring your feet just a tiny bit wider than your hips. And we're just going to start with some forward and backward movement of the torso. And that movement is occurring here in the hips, so where the upper body and the lower body kind of hinge together. So you're just going to come forward, and then you're going to come way back. Right? So forward, and if you're sitting up by the front of your chair, it's going to make this more doable than if you're sitting into the back of your chair. So as you come forward, go as far forward as you can. As you come back, go back a little farther, right? So you're going to feel your abdominal muscles activate when you come back, right? And maybe you're feeling your feet start to lift up off the floor a little bit here. And you're breathing in and out. Doesn't matter when you inhale, when you exhale. I tend to like to exhale when I come forward because that feels more natural for me, but it might not feel that way for you. If you want to continue to make this a little more challenging for your core when you come back, I'm going to have you come back and see if you can tap the back of your chair. Your feet can lift, and then you're going to come forward, right? So don't let your head come back. This is just your body, right? So we're coming back, we're tapping the back of the chair and coming forward. You can just lift your feet a little bit off the chair if you want, off the floor if you want. Or you can lift your feet way up off the floor, right? So maybe you lift your feet way up off the floor. It's a little bit harder, right? So just kind of notice, this is like a rocking horse, right? So this is like a little bit of a rocking horse. Okay, so you got that movement forward and back, right? Okay, so can you get to the place right in between? So you're not all the way back and you're not all the way forward, but you're somewhere back here, and maybe you can have your feet off the floor, or maybe you can keep your toes just resting on the floor. So we're breathing in and breathing out. It's a little bit of balance. Can you breathe as you're doing this? If you can't breathe, just touch your toes to the floor. Good. How about one more breath in and out? Nice strong core. And then we're going to come forward and back just one more time before coming back to stillness. So back and forward. Good. And then feet stay on the floor. So taking a couple of breaths here, we're going to notice the sitting bones now. Right sitting bone, left sitting bone on the chair. And instead of leaning forward and back, we're going to lean a little from side to side. And this movement, again, is coming from the sort of the lower body. So we're going to lean to the right a little bit, and you'll notice that there's less weight in your left sitting bone. And then we're going to lean to the left, and you'll notice there's less weight in your right sitting bone. So we're just going from side to side. Right? So a little bit side to side. Good. Now as we do this, we're breathing. And as you lean to one side, as you lean to your right, see if you can lift your left sitting bone off the chair. And as you lean to the left, lift your right sitting bone off the chair. Okay? So you might even come up on the sitting bone that's lifting, you might come up on the toes of that foot. Right? Or you might lift that foot completely. So we're kind of going from side to side, lifting and lowering and lifting and lowering. How about 2 more times? 1, and then 1 more on each side. Good. Excellent. So we kind of got that movement with the sitting bones coming forward, and then the movement with the sitting bones coming back. So from here, let's think about a little bit of a twisting movement. So thinking about your sitting bones sliding forward and sliding back on the chair. So we're just going to slide the left sitting bone forward and slide the right sitting bone back, and notice how that twists you to the right. And then we're going to slide the right sitting bone forward, the left sitting bone back, and that twists you to the left. So we're just going to do this a couple more times. So you're not twisting your upper body, and you're not leaning, right? So just kind of take a little cue here. So we're not leaning, and we're not twisting. We're actually letting the sitting bone do the drive, right? So it's almost as if you were walking on your sitting bones. Does that make sense? Kind of walking on your sitting bones forward and back? Good. And then back to kind of that center position. Okay, so now we're going to lean to the right side, and as you lean to the right side, I'm going to have you take your left arm either up overhead. If bringing your arm up overhead doesn't work for you, you can have your hand on your shoulder, you can have your hand on your hip. So those are kind of the three positions that'll work. You can have your hand on your hip, your shoulder, or up overhead. So when we lean to the right, we're going to exhale on the lean, we're going to inhale on the way back. Okay? So take a nice deep breath in. And as you lean to the right, let's exhale. Inhale, come back to center. And exhale, we're going to lean to the other side. And you can exhale through your mouth if you'd like. Or you can exhale through your nose if that's better. Now, as you lean, see if you can feel or sense that you have more weight in the sitting bone that you're leaning into, that side, right? Good. Couple more. So we're just warming up those shoulders, getting a stretch through the side of the body. And the next time that you lean, the next time you lean to the right. So whenever that is, we're going to hold here on that right side. Okay? And we're going to hold and breathe. So if you're holding here and you're holding your breath because you can't breathe because you're leaning over too far, you're just going to come out of this a little bit. If it's too easy, come over a little bit more. So as you're leaning in this position, I want you to focus on what's happening here in the left side of your body. Your ribs are like the little fish gills, right? They're moving out. As you breathe in, they're expanding. And as you breathe out, they're contracting. And then just to make it a little more interesting, see if you can look down at your armpit. And as you breathe in and out, see if you can see that side of your body expanding and contracting. So we're getting visual confirmation that there's actually some movement happening there in the ribs. And you might see that in your direct vision, you might see it in your peripheral vision, you might be just imagining it because you can't see it at all. And then come all the way up. Let's bring that hand back down to the lap. Take a moment, close your eyes. Just notice right side and left side. Good. And then open your eyes. We're going to do the same thing on the other side. So we're going to lean to the left. And as we lean to the left, we're bringing that arm up overhead. And then as we exhale, we're coming back down. Right? Let's do that a couple times. So just getting a stretch through the right side. And the next time that you're all the way up overhead, we're going to hold here. So again, your hand can be here, it can be here. Just kind of work with your shoulder, whatever you've got going on. And you're really feeling a stretch now through this right side. So your right sitting bone isn't lifted off the chair, it's on the chair. And then see if you can look down into your armpit and see your little fish gills on that side. So as you breathe in and out, you're feeling or seeing your that side of your body, your rib cage on that side of your body, maybe into your armpit because your ribs actually come up that far. So we're noticing that's lifting and lowering or expanding and contracting or whatever kind of description feels like it's most suitable for you. If you're holding your breath, you're a little too far, so you'll come out of this. Nice slow breaths here. Good. Keep lengthening that side of the body just a little bit more. And then slowly come all the way up. Bring your hand back down to your lap. Close your eyes once again, taking some breaths in and out, just noticing. Let your eyes open. Let's take the arms. We're going to bring the arms out to the side so your palms are facing up, right? So your palms are facing up. And we're just going to bend the elbows and bring the elbows right into the rib cage and then out. So it's like you've got a serving tray in each hand and you're lifting and lowering. Keep the serving tray lower than your shoulders. And when you go out, try not to lift with your shoulders. right? So we're actually lifting through the muscles of the arm. We're kind of coming out and then back in and getting those elbows in nice and close. And you're breathing in and breathing out. And it doesn't matter when, as long as your breath is smooth. Hands are probably a little bit in front of your body, right? So some people can get them way out here, but for most of us, it's going to be a little bit in front of the body. Next time that you have your arms out, we're going to pause here, turn the palms down, and then turn the palms up and in. So that's the whole movement. So breathing in and out. Raising the arms, turning the palms down, up, and back. Good. And that's it. That is the movement, right? So where are you feeling that movement? Can you feel it in your shoulder? Can you feel it in your elbow, your forearm, your wrists? Good. And the next time that you have your elbows in close to your body, we're just going to bring the hands forward. So it's like you're holding the tray right here. And now instead of holding a tray, you're going to make a little fist and turn your hand into what's called the hammer position, right? So hammer position is when the thumb is up and the little finger is down, as opposed to in that left to right orientation, right? Okay, so keep your elbows tucked in really close to your body. Keep your shoulder tops relaxed down. And what we're going to do here is we're just going to bring the hammer out and back in, and out and back in. And don't let your elbows come off of your body, right? In other words, we don't want to bring the arms out like this. We want to keep the elbows really locked in to the body here. Just a couple more of these. So we're doing some movements for the shoulder that are, we're working on something called the rotator cuff muscles. So these are really intrinsic movers of the shoulder joint. You know, we often think of the shoulder like, you know, we have the deltoids and we have the biceps and we have the triceps and all these big, you know, the chest muscles and the back muscles. But it's these little guys that really need to do a lot of work. So as you bring your arms out now, we're going to hold here and breathe. And this can be really challenging, right? So if you've had some limitation in your shoulder movement, if you've, you know, had an injury there, sometimes this is a movement that is rehabilitative. So we're just holding a little bit more, and then see if you can get out a little farther. So imagine you had a band between your hands, like right in here, and you're trying to pull that band apart, and you're breathing, 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 and notice where you're feeling this, right? So hopefully you're feeling it in the shoulders, maybe in the chest, in the upper back, in the arms. If you're squeezing your fists, relax your fists. So we don't want the forearm to be doing a lot of the work. Good. And then relax. Bring the hands to the lap. Close your eyes. Take a breath in and out. In and out. Good. Let your eyes open. So we're going to do a little bit of work for the muscles here on the very top. And what we're going to do here is bring the arms alongside the body. And imagine you're holding, do you remember suitcases that we used to have to pick up instead of wheeling them all over the place? So imagine you got a couple of suitcases and you're lifting the suitcases up and then slowly lowering them down. So you're lifting the suitcases and lowering down. Good. So that's it. So again, working some of the muscles here that can sometimes get overworked, can sometimes not get worked at all, but these muscles up here, the ones we're working now, they are intrinsic shoulder movers. Up and down. How about one more time? Up and all the way down. Good. And then just kind of shake out the arms a little bit. Okay, so now we're going to take the right arm and bring it behind your back and then bring it forward, right? Bring the left arm behind your back and bring it forward. So nice and slow. So as you do this, think about rotating at the shoulder when you come back, right? So when I bring my arm back, I'm rotating my whole arm at the shoulder, and then I'm coming back. Rotating at the shoulder. Now this might be really easy for some people. This might be really challenging. Maybe you've got one side that's a piece of cake and the other side is like not having much of this at all. How we doing there? Okay. Everybody doing all right? Okay. One more time on each side. So we're just kind of warming things up again. These are really intrinsic muscles of the shoulder and then back. Okay. So the next movement we're going to do, I'm going to do that same movement, but we're going to add to it, right? And I'm going to show you. So I'm sorry, I'm going to turn my back to you right now. So I'm taking my right hand and I'm bringing it back. That's what we were doing, right? We were bringing that arm back behind. So now when I bring my right hand behind, I'm not just going to bring it behind. I'm going to move the fingers up toward the shoulder and then down. So I'm taking the arm, so I'm rotating the whole arm from the shoulder. I'm bringing it behind. That's part one. And then part two is to bring the hand up toward the shoulder blade. Got that? Okay. So again, let's go really slow, because the one thing about, well, there's a couple things about the shoulders. Shoulders are the most mobile joint in the body. We have many different kinds of movements that we can do with the shoulder, much more than any other joint. And therefore we need to be a little sensitive to it. When we make movements, we want to make sure we do them slowly and thoughtfully, because a quick movement in a joint that isn't super solid and stable can be an ouch, and we definitely don't want to do an ouch. So take your right arm, bring it behind, so we're rotating the whole arm, we're bringing it behind, and then see if you can bring that hand up toward the shoulder blade. Got that? And then back down, right? Good. Left arm, same thing. So rotate, bring it behind, and then up, and then slowly bring it back down. Can we do this while we're breathing now? So I'm going to turn my back to you for a moment. So breathe in and bring the arm back and down. Take the other arm back and down. Good. So we're just going to continue this. If you need to take a little bit of a break, go ahead and do that. Because again, these are muscles that don't get this kind of movement, or maybe they do. Actually, they do. Yeah, it goes up. Yep, yep. Good. Okay, one more time on each side. How's that? So this is a movement we do. And down. So depending on your clothing, you might have clothing that fastens in the back, right? It's important to be able to get your arms back there to do that. So let's see if we can do that. Let's take both arms behind the back and then see if we can bring the hands up, right? So again, we can do this in a couple of phases, right? So I'm going to bring the arms behind the back. I'm just going to rest for a moment. And then let's see if we can bring the hands up. And when we do this, each time you do it, switch the hand that's closest to your body. So the first time you might have your right hand closest to your body and your left hand farther away. So like that, switch it around the other way. Just to see. Again, nice and slow. And just thinking about this in terms of a functional movement, right? So it's important to get dressed in the morning, to be able to do this to get dressed in the morning. So bring the arms out, kind of rotate, right? And then see if you can get the hands up. And notice what that's like. There's chairs right down in front here. So come right down in front. Yep. Okay. And then we're going to do the other side. Good. And back down. Great. Let's go the other way. Yeah. And as you're doing this, are you noticing that it's easier to do one side than the other? Yeah. Isn't that interesting, right? It's so fascinating to notice how we use our bodies in that same habitual way. So whichever way was a little bit harder for you, I'm going to invite you to just kind of hang out in that position for a couple of breaths. So whichever way is harder. If you're back there and you're like, I'm not really sure, then you can let that go. Try the other way. And say, just like I just did, oh no, the first way was the right way. Yeah. So just getting a little bit more rotation in there. And you're breathing. Okay, and then relax that. Let your arms kind of hang down. So just kind of notice your shoulders, right? So we got a lot that we're doing with the shoulder joint. Again, have most of you heard of your rotator cuff? Do you know what it is? Because I know, because it's like they throw it out and they're like, yeah, you should know what this is. Your rotator cuff is just 4 tendons that go between your the top of your shoulder here. So you got some bones that come out here. Your AC joint is out here, and then your arm bone, right? So you got the arm bone and the shoulder right there. You've got 4 tendons. Actually, do this with me. Make a fist, right? And see your knuckles? Those are your 4 tendons. So you got 4 tendons in your rotator cuff. Every time you move your arm in all this weird kind of direction, those tendons that attach to different muscles, either on the back of your body or the top of the shoulder, those muscles are doing the work, and the tendons are actually making the movement. Tendons are the part of the muscle that attaches to the bone. Right? So you got the muscle here. There's my biceps muscle. The tendon for my biceps muscle is down here. That's what pulls my arm up when I contract these muscles. So when you have a rotator cuff injury, it simply means that one or several of those tendons have been aggravated, right? And that can be aggravated in a number of different ways. They could be pinched, they could be torn, they could be inflamed, they could be all kinds of different things. So these little movements that we're doing are actually working on the muscles that control those tendons and getting a little more range of movement into that shoulder joint. Okay, so we've got one more movement, 2 more movements, but one more single movement we're gonna do. We're gonna take the right arm up overhead, and all you're gonna do is bend the elbow and touch your right shoulder, and then come up and down. Same thing on the left side. So we want to progress movements for the shoulder like this. We want to progress slowly, right? So in other words, we're going to do a really complex movement in a minute, and you'll see that we had to do all these other movements ahead of time to kind of warm things up and get the body ready. So is this fairly easy for everyone? And if your arm doesn't go way up, that's okay. If you're out here, that's fine too. So one more time on each side, just so we kind of all finish at the same pace, right? Good. Okay, let's make it a little bit more challenging. And again, we're going to go slower now. So we're going to bring the arm up, but instead of tapping the top of the shoulder, we're going to tap the top of the shoulder blade. So you know where your shoulder blade is? You're right back here. So it's this thing right in here. It's your chicken wing, right? It's your big chicken wing back there. So you're going to take your right arm up. You're going to bend your elbow. You got to bring your hand behind your back and see if you can tap your shoulder blade. And then come up and down. And let's just breathe as we're doing this. So the left side, same thing. And you really want to extend the arm as far as you can before you bend, because we want that length to be able to get that hand back to the shoulder blade. Can everybody get at least in the same area code as the shoulder blade? Yeah? Okay. Great. All right, so let's pause for a moment here. So we had the right hand go into the right shoulder blade. We had the left hand go into the left shoulder blade, right? Okay. Now we're going to challenge it. What's that? I said, guess what? Guess what? We're going to challenge it one more time. So we're going to go from the right hand to the left shoulder blade if you can. Okay, so we're taking the right hand up, and we're going to bend the elbow and see if you can touch the left shoulder blade. And that's a little harder, right? If your head gets in the way, you can just drop your chin down a little bit. Don't do this to try and get your head out of the way, though. Just kind of drop your head down a little bit. So nice and slow, guys, because we want to be really respectful of the shoulder, right? So raise the right arm up, and then bend that elbow. See if you can tap or touch the left shoulder blade. Good. And then come up and down. Good. And breathe. So we're going on the left side now, up, up, up. And then we're going to see if we can tap that right shoulder blade. Good. And again, if your head kind of gets in the way, just kind of bring your chin down a little bit. See if you can do that. If you don't touch the shoulder blade, that's okay. We're just going in that general direction. We're trying to get there. Everybody doing okay? We're asking a lot of the shoulders here right now, I know. It'll feel better later, in a couple of days. How about one more time on each side? So I guess what I'm saying is if tomorrow you're sore, don't call me. It's normal. Last one. Good. Whew. Okay, just kind of notice your shoulders, right? So we've done all of these different movements. We did this in and out movement. We did this rotational movement this way. We did the rotational movement that way. We did the rotational movement with a lift. So this is your big complex movement, right? We're going to take all of those movements or a lot of those movements and we're going to bring them all together into one complex movement. So we're going to take the right arm and I'll show you. So I'm going to turn my back on you again. I'm going to take my right arm behind me. I'm going to raise my hand up. I'm going to take my left arm up overhead. I'm going to bend that elbow and see if I can get my fingers close together. I just did this in the other class. That's why I can touch my fingers right now. Just saying, this did not happen the first time. So I'm going to get my hands as close together as they can be. Okay? So that's all of those movements together. That's all of those movements together. And again, really being respectful of the shoulder because it has the ability to do these movements. I would never want to do this with a load. Like I would never want to do this while like holding a weight or something because it's way too much to ask for the shoulder to do. All right, take a breath. Let's take that right arm behind and we're going to lift the fingers up toward the shoulder blade. We're going to take the left arm up overhead. You can bring your chin down if your head gets in the way and then see if you can get your top hand down close to your bottom hand. Okay? And close might be this far, close might be that far. It doesn't matter. And if you can touch, good for you. And then lift up and come back down for a moment. So just kind of give the shoulders a little moment to readjust, right? Left hand now we're going to take behind the back. We're going to bend that elbow, lift the fingers up toward that right shoulder blade. Take your right arm up, bend the elbow, and then see if you can get your hands kind of close together back there, right? Breathe in, breathe out. And then release that. We're going to go back to doing that one more time on each side. And you probably noticed one side you could do it easier than the other. Yeah, you've got a little more range on one side than the other. So again, just something to think about doing some movement on your own. So what I would not recommend is like tomorrow morning going, I'm just going to do this one. Do some of the other ones first. So do this in and out first. Do just one arm behind and then one arm behind because we're starting to warm things up in the joint and we're working to get the muscles relaxed and the tendons stretched out a little bit. So let's take that right arm behind, bend the elbow, fingers come up, left arm up overhead. If you can lift your left elbow a little higher, you might find that that's helpful. Yeah. Breathe in, breathe out. And then release that. Give that a moment here. So noticing right and left. And take the left arm behind, bend the elbow, fingers come up toward the shoulder blade, and then right arm comes up overhead. Bend that elbow. See if you can bring your fingers closer together there. Breathe in, breathe out. And relax. Ooh, take a moment. Close your eyes. Feel your shoulders and your arms. Just kind of noticing things. Take one more breath in, let it out with a sigh. Let's take the arms up in front and you're just going to actually, let's do it this way. Let's stack the left hand on top of the right hand. Keep your elbows on the same plane. In other words, you don't want your arms like this and you don't want to have bird wings, right? So we're going to keep these in the same plane. And all we're going to do is we're going to twist to the right and then twist to the left. And it's like you're kind of leading with the elbows as you go from side to side, right? Relax your shoulder tops away from your ears. So if your shoulder tops are lifted way up like this, drop them down. And you're holding at your hands, right? So you're holding right there at your hands. Yep. Good. One more time, and then when we come back to the center, we're going to pause here for a moment. So a little more complex movement with the hands. Actually, let's switch the direction of the hands. So if the left was on top, now it's on the bottom. And we're going to keep this nice level. It's like you have a stick going from one elbow to the other. And what we're going to do is we're just going to lean down and see if we can tap the elbow to the knee. Right? So keep the arms nice and straight as you tap one elbow to the knee. You can bring your feet wider apart or closer together if you need to. All right? So we're just tapping. We're getting a little bit of core strength in here as well. So look at your arms. If they're bending like this, I want you to keep them nice and flat. Okay. If you're finding this easy, or you want a little more of a challenge, instead of tapping your elbow on your knee, I'm going to have you bring your elbow in front of your knee. Ooh. Okay. So that can be quite a challenge to get the elbow out there in front of the knee. It requires a little more core strength. A little more core strength. How about one more time on each side? You guys are doing great. Good. Excellent. All right, relax your arms down, close your eyes, take a breath in and out. And the shoulder portion of our program is done. Thank goodness. All right. Let your eyes open. Okay, so we're going to shift to the shoulders of the lower body, or the hips, right? So they're kind of like the shoulders, only they're a little more, they're more stable and less mobile, because we're supporting our weight. So I'm going to have you scoot over to the right side of your chair, and we're just going to use heel and toe and walk the foot out and walk the foot back. That's it. Just walking out and walking back. So we're just warming things up a little bit here. We did some warm up in the beginning for the hips when we were kind of going forward and back and then lifting the sitting bones and kind of playing with that, but we're just giving it another extra little warm up here. And the next time you have your foot out to the side, you're going to hold here. So we're kind of in almost a 90-degree position, right? So from your left knee to your right knee, that is. Okay. So take your right knee and drop it in, and then pull it back. Drop it in, and pull it back. Now you can come up on the inside edge of your foot when you drop forward and see if you can get to the outside edge of your foot when you come back. As you let your foot lift off the floor, you're actually gaining more movement in the hip joint, right? So as I come forward, if I were to keep my foot on the floor, it's my ankle that's going to limit my ability to come forward anymore. As soon as I let that foot come up, now I get that better rotation in my hip. So can you all feel that right up into your hip joint? Yeah, that's in your hip joint is where your leg bone comes into your pelvis. Okay. And now the next time that you pull your knee back, I'm going to ask you to hold there. So we're engaging muscles here in the outside of the hip and the leg, and we're pulling the knee toward the back wall, right? So come up on your heel, spread your toes out a little bit, and then place your foot down. And we're still pulling that knee toward the back wall. Now anchor your foot into the floor. It's like you're pushing down into your foot and pulling your knee toward the back wall at the same time. We're going to take the right hand to the left thigh, the left hand to the chair, and we're going to twist to the left, but don't let that knee come forward. So don't let your right knee come forward. Breathe in, breathe out. And then slowly unwind. Good. Relax that leg. We're going to take that foot, walk it back. Come back to the center of your chair. Take your right leg now, cross it over your left. Okay. So you're probably feeling a little bit of a stretch here in the outside of the hip, right? So what we were just working, what we were just engaging, we're now stretching a little bit. And then the muscles in here that we were stretching, we're actually going to engage. So with your legs crossed in this fashion, you're going to squeeze your inner thighs together and engage your glutes. Those are your bum muscles, right? So you're engaging your glutes, and see if you can sit up nice and tall. And then relax those inner thigh muscles. And again, we're going to engage and relax. So we're doing the opposite movement right now that we were just doing. So we're engaging and then relaxing. And the next time you engage, you're going to hold here and breathe. Nice, long, slow breaths. Good. And as you're holding here, I'm going to ask you to take your right foot, see if you can get the outside edge of your right foot or your right little toe close to your left lower leg. Now, if this is super easy, you can walk your left foot over to the right a little bit. So in other words, you're bringing it away, right? If it's hard, keep it right there. And then you can relax all of that. Uncross. Scoot your body over to the left side of your chair. Okay, so from here we're going to take that left leg, wiggle walk it out, wiggle walk it back. And we're just going to go back and forth a couple of times here. So again, just kind of warming things up a little bit, getting the muscles in the outer part of the hip activated. So we know about the muscles that bring our legs forward and back, but we have muscles that bring our legs out to the side and then in toward one another. Next time your foot is way out there, we're going to hold here. So again, we're looking for about 90 degrees between the knees, right? Somewhere around there. Keep your heel underneath your knee, so you don't want to have your foot way out here. You don't want to have it way in here. Just about like that. And then we're just going to drop the knee forward and back and drop it forward and back. So this is the left side that we're doing now. Okay, so we did the right side, now we're doing the left side. And you'll notice as you come up on the big toe side of the foot, and as you come up on the little toe side of the foot, you can get more rotation in that leg bone, which means more movement in the hip joint, because the leg bone is the mobile part of your hip joint. Your hip joint is your pelvis, your pelvic bone there, that's the socket, and then your leg is what moves in that socket. Next time you're pulling your knee toward the back wall, so you're engaging these muscles here, you're just going to hold here. Lift your forefoot up off the floor, so your heel's down, your forefoot's up, spread your toes nice and wide, and then place your whole foot on the floor. So we've got the knee pulling toward the back wall, we've got the foot pushing into the floor. We're lengthening through the spine, and then we're going to twist to the right. So you can take your left hand to the right leg, the right hand to the chair, give a little twist, breathe in, breathe out, and as you're breathing in and breathing out, make sure it's smooth and steady. So in other words, you're not like, your breath isn't hitching, you're not holding it, it's not like ragged, it's a very smooth breath. If it's not, you're just pushing a little too far, so you just kind of come out of the twist a little bit. Keep pulling that knee toward the back wall, keep pushing the foot into the floor, don't let that stop, right? Because that's important. 2 more breaths. Good, and then you can unwind. Relax that leg, walk it back, come back to the center of your chair, and we're going to cross the left leg on top of the right. So once again, have your right foot underneath your knee, so you want to be kind of lined up here a little bit. And we're going to engage those muscles on the inner thighs now, because we were just engaging the outer thigh muscles, so we're engaging the inner thigh muscles. So you're going to squeeze your inner thighs together, squeeze your glutes a little bit, and see how you sit up nice and tall, and then relax that. So again, squeezing and lifting and relaxing. A couple more of these. Squeeze and relax. Squeeze and relax. Good. And now this time as you squeeze, I'm going to have you squeeze everything, and then see if you can bring your left little toe closer to the outside of your left lower leg, or your your right lower leg. All right, so it's like you're trying to reach that toe to touch the lower leg. If it's easy, if you can get your foot there, you're just going to walk your right leg over to the left a little bit. If it's hard, just stick with it, right? So we're really trying to squeeze those inner thigh muscles together and then reach the toe out a little bit. Good. And breathe. Good, and then you can unwind that. Bring your feet back down to the floor, hands on your lap, close your eyes for a moment. Let's just take a moment here, breathing in, breathing out. Noticing the hips, noticing the thighs, maybe a little bit of the back. All right, nice deep breath in, let it out with a sigh. Eyes can open. Okay, so we've done a fair amount of work in the torso, right? So from the sitting bones up to the shoulders. And now we're going to get a little bit of work in the extremities, but I'd like to combine hands and feet today. So we'll do some hand and foot exercises. So if you bring your feet so that your heels are on the ground, but the forefoot is lifted a little bit, right? So you don't want them way out here. You don't want them way back. It should be that you're able to sit comfortably. Your knees have a bend to them, right? And your forefoot is just lifted a little bit. Hands are forward. Shoulders are higher than your hands. So in other words, hands are not up here. They're down here a little bit, right? All we're going to do are starfish and fists. Starfish and fists, right? And we're going to do starfish and fists with the hands and the feet. So when you do a fist, you're scrunching your toes. And when you do starfish, you're spreading your toes, right? Good. So most of the weight is in your heels and your sitting bones. Everybody's doing okay with this? Okay, let's just go a little faster, right? So just a little faster. This is a great way to get circulation going. So this is, again, when I think about ways to have fun with you guys, these are the things I come up with. But there are always things that you can do, like when you're doing other things, like when you're watching TV. Can you see just doing this? Sit on the front of your chair or your sofa or whatever, and just do a little bit of this. Yeah, you don't even have to think about it, really. You can watch your show and do this. Okay, so then let's relax that a little bit, right? So hands and feet working together. Let's try working one side as a fist and one side as a starfish, and then kind of switch it up. So just bringing again, having your heels on the ground, your knees bent, your forefoot lifted, hands up but below your shoulders. All we're going to do here is on the right side, we're going to do a fist, and on the left side, we're doing a starfish. That's hand and foot, right? And then we're switching, right? So left side and right side, the hand and the foot are doing the same thing. And you're breathing, right? So just going back and forth, right? Good. Super easy. Might take a little more thought because we don't often coordinate the foot with the hand, but it's manageable for most of us to be able to do this. Good? Got that? All right. Right. Let's make it more challenging, because that's the name of the game, right? We always want to titrate up. We always want to progress things, right? So it's like, oh, yeah, that's easy. I'm going to test myself, right? Because you'd never grow in the easy part, right? You only grow on the edges where it's a little difficult. So let's make it just a little bit difficult. So instead of doing right side and left side doing the same thing, we're going to go across the body. So lift your forefoot up a little bit, right side and left side, hands up. And now on your right side, we're going to do a fist with the hand, and on the left side, a fist with the foot. Got that? On the left hand, it's a starfish, and on the right foot, it's a starfish. So I just want you to get that feeling in your body. Okay? So now we're just going to switch that. So your right hand goes to a starfish, your left foot goes to a starfish, your left hand goes to a fist, and your right foot goes to a fist. Got that? I'll do it a couple of times. Don't worry. So we're going to switch. So the right hand is a fist, the left foot is a fist. The left hand is a starfish, the right foot is a starfish. It's difficult. Yeah, it's supposed to be. So we're going to switch again. So right hand is a starfish, left foot is a starfish, left hand is a fist, right foot is a fist. Right hand is a fist, left foot is a fist, left hand is a starfish, right foot is a starfish. Try doing it and saying it. That's hard. Okay, so all we're going to do now is switch. Just think of it this way. Your opposite hand and foot are doing the same thing. Right? You're doing this on your own now. You have no idea what you're doing, do you? That's okay. That's quite all right. Think of it this way. You used to be able to do this when you drove a standard transmission car. You could do opposite things. And if you ever drove in like England or Ireland in a standard transmission car, that is like world class, right? Because you're doing that. We don't get this anymore. This is movement we can do, we just don't do it. That's why it's hard, right? But we can do it. Okay, take a break. How we doing? Good. Hands and feet doing. We're doing, right? We're doing. That's important. We've all been demoted. Oh, you've been demoted. No, we're just, it's that we're finding the edge, right? I'm always looking for that edge where we can explore. Where can we get a little bit more growth, right? Let's do this, you guys. Let's take the legs now, extend them out so your knees are fairly straight and your heels are on the floor. You can have your feet kind of wide. Just make sure if you have slippery pants that you're in a position that you're not going to slide off. So you might need to back up a little bit on your chair. So we're going to make this just a little bit more challenging for, not just for the mind, but for the body as well, right? So with the legs extended, we can lean back a little bit, and I'll only invite this if that works for you. When you lean back a little bit, you feel your belly work, right? So if that works, you can stay in that position. Otherwise, just come forward, and you can let off the belly a little bit. We're also going to add the arms. Ah, right? Yeah, you all look so happy. You look like you're, yay! That's the yay position. Okay, we doing okay? Now, if this is too much, if you find that you're rounding your back, you're going to come up a little bit. You're going to drop your arms a little bit. I want you to find your edge. So bring your arms down, relax your legs for a second. So it's not helpful if I'm trying to do what the person next to me is doing, and I'm doing this, and I can't breathe, and I'm rounding my back, because that's way beyond my edge. I really want to find my edge where that is. So, note with that in mind, I want you to come to a place where it's a little bit of a challenge, but you can still breathe, and you can still hear me, and you can still hold here. So again, just kind of extending the legs, perhaps keeping your torso upright, extend your arms. If that's super easy, maybe leaning back a little bit, maybe not. So we're breathing in and breathing out, right? Yeah? Yep. Okay. So as we're doing this now, we're going to do our fists and starfish. Fists and starfish, right? Breathe in, breathe out. Everybody's doing great. Good, good, good. So complex movement, right? So we're getting more complex in our movement here. One more time in and out. Good, and then relax a little bit. So that's kind of hard to do with the arms up overhead. Anytime you have your arms up overhead, if you want to increase your cardiac work, your cardio work, you bring your arms up overhead. That's going to do it, because it takes a lot more energy for the heart to pump that blood up. And when we're squeezing the hands, we're doing stuff like that, we're getting even more. So if you feel like you need to bring it down, you can always bring it down. We're going to do that again. Okay? So legs extended, heels on the ground, arms extended, hooray. We can lean back a little bit or not. And now instead of just doing fists and starfish, we're going to go right side fists and starfish, left side fists and starfish. And that's hand and foot. So you're on the same side. And you're breathing. And you're smiling, because this is a blast. Good. Good. Right? Excellent. If it's too much, you can always bring your arms down, right? Can always bring them down. Go to your edge, not beyond your edge. Because when you go beyond your edge, things shut down. Okay, and relax. That was a lot, right? Take a breather in and out. And notice how that was more challenging, right? Was it more challenging because you were doing one side or the other? Or was it more challenging because your arms were up, or because you were using your abs, because you were leaning back? Like, where did that challenge you? Because that's going to be different for everybody. Okay, final challenge. Legs extended, arms up overhead. Okay, we're going to do opposites, right? So right hand is in a fist, left foot is in a fist. And then we switch, and switch, and switch, right? So we have one hand and the opposite foot doing the same thing. And notice how your breathing gets very shallow, right? Because you're really trying to figure this out, and you're taxing your body at the same time. So there's sort of the mental stress. We'll just do one more time. And then bring your arms down. So the reason that that's harder is because when we do it down here, there's the mental stress of doing it, right? It's like the brain is trying to coordinate with the body, and the neurological stress of it. When we're in this position, we have the physical stress to add to it, right? So stress is a good thing when we control it and when we use it as a tool to, again, expand that edge, right? When I'm in this position, my body is stressed. When I'm trying to do these opposite things, my body and my mind is stressed. My neurological system is stressed. But it's a stress that peaks and comes down. And that sort of educates us on how to manage stress overall, but it also tests us, and it expands our edge a little bit. Okay, eyes closed, hands on your lap. Take some breaths and be grateful that this is all done. Just notice what your body feels like right now. Notice your breath. Notice your heart rate, if you can feel or sense your heart rate. Notice if you feel a sense of accomplishment, or if you feel like maybe you didn't achieve as much as you would have liked to. And just sort of let go of that value judgment, whether it's positive or negative. Just let it go. And know that you did something different. You challenged yourself in a different way. Breathing in and breathing out. Feel everything slow down a little bit. As you inhale and exhale, can you feel your rib cage moving? So your little fish gills on either side, if you remember from the beginning of class, talking about or feeling or experiencing the ribs on the sides of the body like gills on a fish. And take one more nice deep breath in. Let's let it out with a sigh through the mouth. You can let your eyes open. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Thank you for trying something new, going along with my wacky program. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you all next time.